In the days when Israel was ruled by judges, during a time filled with uncertainty and hardship, a famine came upon the land of Bethlehem in Judah, forcing many families to make difficult choices in order to survive. Among those affected was a man named Elimelech, who, together with his wife Naomi and their two sons, Mahlon and Chilion, left their homeland and journeyed to the land of Moab in search of food and a better life. Although Moab was a foreign land, it provided relief from the famine, and for a time the family was able to settle and continue their lives. However, tragedy soon struck when Elimelech died, leaving Naomi widowed in a place far from home. Despite this loss, her sons remained with her, and in time they married Moabite women named Orpah and Ruth, bringing a sense of stability back into Naomi's life. For several years, the family lived together in Moab, but sorrow returned once again when both Mahlon and Chilion died, leaving Naomi not only without her husband but also without her sons. Now accompanied only by her two daughters-in-law, Naomi faced a future filled with uncertainty and grief. When Naomi heard that the famine in Bethlehem had ended and that food was once again available, she decided to return to her homeland. Ruth and Orpah began the journey with her, showing their loyalty and care. But along the way, Naomi urged them to go back to their families so they could rebuild their lives. Though this was a painful moment, Orpah eventually chose to return, but Ruth remained firm in her decision to stay with Naomi. With deep devotion, Ruth declared that she would not leave Naomi, but would go wherever she went, live among her people, and embrace her God as her own. This powerful commitment showed not only loyalty but also faith and courage, as Ruth chose to leave everything familiar behind in order to stand by Naomi. Together, they returned to Bethlehem, where their arrival stirred the community. Naomi, still burdened by her grief, expressed her bitterness and sorrow, feeling that her life had been emptied by loss. Yet despite her pain, their return came at the beginning of the barley harvest, offering a small but significant opportunity for survival. Determined to provide for them, Ruth went into the fields to gather leftover grain, a practice allowed for the poor. As she worked diligently, she found herself in the field of a man named Boaz, a relative of Naomi's late husband. Boaz was a man of wealth and integrity, and when he learned of Ruth's loyalty and kindness toward Naomi, he showed her great favor by allowing her to gather freely and ensuring her safety. Ruth returned home with more food than expected, and when Naomi learned that she had been working in Boaz's field, she recognized the importance of this connection. Boaz was a kinsman redeemer, someone who had the right to help restore their family's future and provide protection. Seeing hope for the first time in a long while, Naomi instructed Ruth on how to approach Boaz in a respectful and humble way, asking for his protection according to their customs. One night, Ruth went to the threshing floor where Boaz was resting and quietly lay at his feet. When he awoke and realized she was there, she asked him to spread his garment over her, symbolizing her request for him to act as her redeemer. Boaz was moved by Ruth's character and her loyalty, and he assured her that he would help her. However, he also explained that there was another relative who had a closer claim, and that matter needed to be settled first. The following day, Boaz went to the city gate and presented the situation before the elders and the other relative. Although the man initially agreed to redeem the land, he withdrew his claim when he realized that it required him to marry Ruth and carry on the family line. This allowed Boaz to step forward and publicly declare that he would redeem Naomi's property and take Ruth as his wife, and the people of the town witnessed and blessed this decision. In time, Boaz and Ruth were married, and their story, which had begun in sorrow and loss, was transformed into one of hope and restoration. Ruth gave birth to a son, and Naomi, who once felt empty and bitter, now experienced renewed joy as she held the child in her arms. The child was named Obed, and he would become the grandfather of King David, establishing a lineage that would play a significant role in the history of Israel. Through Ruth's loyalty, faith, and courage, a legacy was created that extended far beyond her own life, showing that even in the midst of hardship, faithfulness can lead to unexpected blessings.